Hello, magical souls, and welcome back to Magi Monday. I am so glad you are here. My name is Andrea Blythe. I'm the traveling Magi of Let Love Rise, where for 52 weeks, I am bringing you the 52 cards of the Magi card science system. We are in winter season, and we are here to talk about the Five of Spades, the Wanderer, perhaps the most restless of all the cards. Is this true? Is it not? Let's unpack what it means to be a Five of Spades today. As you may know, if you have been a regular watcher of the Magi Mondays, I typically have somebody in the studio with me, somebody to interview of this essence. Well, today, all those restless fives are out living their best life. And so you get me and me alone. And so let's dive in, shall we, to what it means to have the soul essence of the Five of Spades. First of all, if you are new here, welcome. I hope you get tremendous value out of what the Magi cards can reflect back to you as a part of your soul essence. This powerful system came into my world, into my life during one of the most challenging years of my life. Maybe it was yours as well, 2020. And as my life dismantled before my very eyes, these cards helped me to see a version of myself that I had either rejected, overlooked, pressed down for the sake of others. And the cards reflected back to me where I'm headed on my soul journey through my soul roadmap and the soul essence. So it is my joy now to share that with all of you. And if you're curious to know a little bit more about the traveling Magi, check out last week's episode on the Four of Spades, where Mini Magi Mama Bear Mare interviewed me on my soul essence. So from that four, from the very stabilizing number of a four, protection, stability, security, protection, in career and health. That is the symbology of the spade. From the four, we get the five. So the five is like, been there, done that, did the security thing, had the protection, know what that's like. And now I just want to see what else there is. How can I break free from the cage? And if you think about a cage, right? Oftentimes there are four sides, like open up that door and let me go wander. Let me go explore what life is like. Let me experience it firsthand. So that's what a fives often represent change. They represent a restlessness, a desire for true hands-on life experience. And then we have the spade. And the spade is the symbology of winter season. It is very internal. If you think about seasons of our life, we've heard that expression, seasons of our lives. Through the cards, we can see that those seasons are associated with the different suits. The very beginning of life is represented by the heart, our foundations in love, understanding what relationship is. That is the heart season. And then we grow and we age and we start to learn and we question. And that's the suit of the clubs, is the knowledge, the mind, the growing, the learning, the seeking. Like, what do I want to do with this one wild and precious life of mine? And then we move into the diamond season of our life, where it is by and large all about making a life for ourselves, reflecting, having money, income that reflects our soul value. And it is about creating abundance for ourselves, creating wealth, finding ways to contribute to the greater society in whatever way feels right. And often, in that diamond age or part of our life, we might also experience a spiritual awakening that leads us into truly our wisdom years, which are encoded in the spade. So the spade being that true north, being the winter of our lives, has so much to do with all that has been learned, all that has been gathered in the preceding seasons of our lives, all that we have learned, and this true desire to listen internally, right? Listening internally based on experience, based on learnings, based on Oh my goodness, relationships. And there's a lot about relationships here with the Five of Spades card. I'll dive into that energy just a little bit more momentarily, but that is essentially the essence of the Five of Spades. So here we have this internal wisdom, and also the spade has so much to do when I'm reading somebody's roadmap, if I'm doing an actual reading, and if they have questions about health, about their career, I look to the suit of the spade to decode and give them that guidance. So, if somebody's like, I'm wondering if it's a good year for me to change jobs, if you have this card, it is time. Speaking of restless, my dog is restless. Just one second. And I'm back. So the Five of Spades could be an indicator of moving your switching careers, moving homes, can all be represented by the Five of Spades. And as far as Five of Spades that I know of in my life, I'm gonna take these glasses off. They're getting a little bit reflection there. Uh, my father, turns out that he is a Five of Spades. That is, it's his planetary ruling card, his secondary energy. We have a birth card that is based on the solar value of our birthday. And if you want to get like real nerdy, sign up for a soul roadmap clarity call or soul purpose clarity call with me. And I will be able to tell you the calculation, but it doesn't need to be discussed right here, but it is mathematically calculated to each and every person based on, again, the solar energy of your birthday. And from that, depending on what time of year you were born, under what zodiac sign, and what the ruler is of that zodiac sign, that's how you get your secondary card. So this is my Seven of Hearts father's secondary card. And what's really interesting when I think about that, because as I was learning this system, of course, the first thing I do is start figuring out everybody's cards and their birthdays and how our relationships work and the dynamics and what is true about this card and how do I see it in the people that I know. And for my father, there was a long period of his career where he actually lived on both sides of the United States. Our home life in California, where most of life has been lived out, but then he had this career that brought him to New York. And so he would go literally across the United States back and forth for this job. And I can't even remember how many years he served in that capacity, but that is one example of just this energy and how it can show up for somebody or how somebody who has this essence can live it out. I have another friend and colleague who is a Five of Spades, and when I met her, she was living locally. That's how we connected. And then she decided that it was time for her to pick up her life, her and her husband and their dogs, and get on the road and see where life wanted to take them, van life and setting forth on adventures. And that again can be very common to see that in a Five of Spades person. Um, and one of the things that I wanted to share about this card that I found interesting and just doing, a little study before hopping on here is that in the life roadmap of a Five of Spades person, they have two very powerful cards of culmination, of ending, also very spiritual cards in the Venus and Mars position of life. And when I say this, there are 13-year periods of our lives that are ruled by each of the planets: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. And then if we make it that long, it can just, the pattern repeats itself. But with this Nine of Clubs, the universal giver of knowledge, also the card of letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of old stories, right? That is encoded in here. This is their Venus card for life, and the Mars card for life. Boom. double duty here, or back to back, you have the nine of spades. And the nine of spades is like the universal card, the universal giver of all things. This definitely speaks over our will, over our health, over our career. And also, I like to just call it the ending of all ending cards because, again, it's the spade. And having this in Mars represents the need to just really let go of perhaps what has been carried in from previous lives. Um, that's often how it is, folks. Like it or not, that is my belief. It does not need to be yours. But when I say that, I know that for myself, there are certain things that I can't explain about why I have this social conditioning or this pattern, where it came from in, this lifetime of mine. And the only thing that makes sense to me is that it comes from a previous incarnation. I'll just give a quick example. As a child, my parents used to take us to dinner to celebrate our birthdays at one of those teppanyaki style places where they cook in front of you. Well, every time they lit the fire, which is like a big moment, it's like, whoa, amazing. I would freak out, like freak out to the point where my parents started to notice this and they would ask the chef to let them know when the fire was going to start so that I could remove myself or walk around. And we're talking about when I was, 5, 6, 7, 8, the younger years that I really didn't like that fire. And so I've made the connection that the only logical conclusion to that story is that in previous lives, I have had some very traumatic uh, burning fire events that, all you witches know what I'm talking about. So, at any rate, there can be stories, there can be ideas, beliefs, there can even be karmic relationships from the past that must be let go of for a five of spades person before they can really enter into I'm just going to say a joyful, fulfilling life, a relationship that is truly spiritual and soul growing and feels good. And until then, they might repeat some some patterns there in love. But is there anything else I wanted to say about that? Yeah, they also have the two hearts and Drew. But I mean, there's so much that we can look at with these cards. And what I really love about how the system works is that it shows you that big, broad picture of your soul essence, very much like an astrological birth chart can do, or your human design birth chart can do. And it's like a living, breathing patterned system of symbols, numbers, and coding that runs through the course of our lives. So not only do we have the lifetime roadmap where a five of spades person has these two obstacles to overcome relatively early in life, your Venus periods and your Mars periods. And oh, my math isn't so great. So somewhere from ages, 13 to 26, and then our early 20s and 30s is our Mars period in life. But coming through the other side of these nines, the life path of a five of spades is actually pretty balanced. You've got two of hearts and Jupiter, the king of hearts as your Saturn card, another king of diamonds, Uranus, Neptune, six of hearts. Pluto, four of clubs, result two of diamonds. So they have these more stabilizing cards, but you have to first get through this patch. And, when we're searching to understand something about ourselves, it can lead us in restless pursuits of knowledge, of understanding, of seeking to know ourselves better. So I hope that this short and quick video on the Five of Spades will serve you if you are a Five of Spades birth card or if you know a Five of Spades birth card. There are only 5 birth cards in the calendar year. Again, I do want to reiterate that somebody can also, like my father, born a Seven of Hearts, but he has the Five of Spades as his planetary ruling card. So when you know people's cards, it is my hope and my intention with these videos that you could just share a little bit with them so they can just, sit with it. Ask yourself, does this resonate? Does this feel true? And then sometimes there are people that I have come up that I have met where you reflect a part of their soul essence and they sit with it and kind of like, well, actually, the opposite is true. I am not that way at all. It is completely the opposite. And here's what I know about that is sometimes when we are not fully expressing how we are designed through, again, through our charts, all of the charts from the soul roadmap to the birth chart, if we're not fully expressing that, we often seek that in a partner, in a relationship. If we're not living it, perhaps the person that you are most intimately connected to, they have that soul essence. They are reflecting that to you because there's a part of you that knows that you are designed to have this. And also, we can live our lives just not knowing our greatness, not knowing our soul gifts, not knowing what we came here to do. And it comes usually to a spiritual awakening or a midlife crisis for us to get the wake up call and start asking what I just consider better questions. That was my story at any rate when the question said I had to switch asking, why is this happening to me? And instead start asking, what is this showing me? What is this reflecting to me? And what am I going to do about it? Well, when my life fell apart, the Magi Card Science System is one of the healing tools that put me back into soul alignment on my path so that I can be the authentic, really joyful version of myself that I was designed to be. We all are designed in this beautiful spirit of love, of joy, of expansiveness, of all that you desire. The universe wants you to live that out. And so let these cards, this mystical wisdom, be one of the things that can help you along your soul path. And once again, if you would like to know more about your birth or your planetary ruling card, it would be my joy and honor to get on a soul purpose clarity call with you, particularly if you're at a crossroads and really wondering, well, what's next for me now? And isn't that how it works? For me, it was that big question of, well, who am I now? As the divorce came through, and if I'm not a wife, if I'm not a full-time mom, if I'm not a high school teacher, this was all happening during the pandemic when teaching went away as well. If I'm not all of these things, but I'm still here, who am I? And what am I doing? And how can I be using my one wild and precious life in the most soul expansive, invigorating way? And dun, da, da, da. That leads me to making these 52 videos for the 52 weeks of the year between 2025 and 2026 to share some of this wisdom with the hope that it really serves you to understand yourself better or the five of spades in your life a little better, those restless wanderers. Until next week, we will come back with the six of spades. I wish you love and joy in the journey. Ciao for now.